Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Fabs here, and hopefully the tryptophan hangover is over because, guys, we got to wake up. We've got 6 teams on a bye this week. We've got quarterbacks injured everywhere. To quote Samuel L. Jackson from Jurassic Park, hold on to your butts because there's not much left on the waiver wire as well. But for what we can go out there and pick up, we've got the best in the business, the princess of props, Jen Piacenti. And Jen, the quarterback position is a barren wasteland right now. We got 6 teams on a bye. Is there anybody we can pick up off the wire to help this week?
I think you can still use Gardner Minshew this week. We used him last week as a streamer, and he's in a pretty good spot this week facing the Titans, who have allowed the 11th most fantasy points to quarterbacks across the past 4 contests. We know the Colts are actually in the playoff hunt right now. They're technically in the playoffs, so they have a lot to play for, and I think Minshew may be able to get us a little bit of magic this weekend, at least, enough to give you maybe double-digit fantasy points, which is all we're really looking for here. If you have the ability to stash for the future, Matt Stafford is someone that has a nice playoff schedule that you could consider stashing right now just for some insurance. There's really no one on the wire that you're excited about starting, but you may not have that option no matter what this weekend with 6 teams on bye. Of course, if Jordan Love is there, he is rostered in fewer than 50% of fantasy leagues, so he would be the number 1 target if you could get him, but that's unlikely. So Minshew and Stafford are probably next up.
Moving on to the running back position, and I feel like that Pulp Fiction meme, like John Travolta, I'm looking around. There's no running backs on the waiver wire anywhere.
No.
Maybe Keaton Mitchell, Jen, maybe?
Right. So Keaton Mitchell is available in more than 60% of leagues, so there is some hope. And the encouraging thing about Mitchell is that he played 50% of the snaps this week. He actually worked his way into Gus Edwards' snaps. He played fewer snaps this week. And obviously, Keaton Mitchell looks so good, right? Like a simple eye test will tell you that. He's averaging more than 9 yards per attempt. And obviously, he hasn't had the volume of the other running backs yet, but he just looks darn good. And this far into the season, some fresh legs might be a really good option for the Ravens, who are a winning team. However, it doesn't help you this weekend because he's on bye. So if you're really looking for somewhere this weekend, you can look at Ezekiel Elliott, possibly Ty Chandler. As far as stashes, Kenneth Gainwell, Tyjae Spears are still at the top of my list because they have good playoff schedules should the head running back in their committee go down.
Maybe Michael Carter. I mean, it's awful.
Maybe Michael Carter. Sure.
It's so thin out there right now.
Zamir White, maybe in case something happens to Jake.
Yeah, handcuffs too. You could certainly start to add them. Wide receiver, though, we have a little bit of depth. And we're going to start off with Drayden Reed, who I have had in my waiver wire column for like 4 weeks. And he's still available in over 50% of leagues, people. So let's wake up and pick this kid up.
Yeah, Drayden Reed actually leads all Green Bay Packers wide receivers. He has the most receiving yards. Yes, he's a slot receiver, but they're finding ways to get him involved in this offense. A very talented rookie. He has 4 catches and a touchdown in the past 3 games in a row. Jordan Love is looking better and better. All of a sudden, he looks like the quarterback that the Packers drafted him to be. So Drayden Reed seems to be a part of that, and he's someone you're going to want to prioritize on the waiver wire this week. And also, maybe even use him in a couple rushing packages. He's had 2 carries in each of the last 2 games, and with Aaron Jones kind of dinged up, and A.J. Dillon isn't doing that much. It just feels like Reed is the guy you want to have.
Yeah, Elijah Moore could be out there. Amari Cooper got banged up last week. Greg Dortch. But yeah, it's thin. Maybe not as thin as quarterback and running back. Tight end. We've actually got some options here. And one of them, surprisingly, is available in more than 50% of leagues. Pat Freiermuth, who was cut in a lot of leagues when he went on the injured list. Now, after a big game in week 12, he's got to be a priority add.
They fired their offensive coordinator, and suddenly the Steelers had more than 400 yards of offense, which was the most they've had since like 2000, I don't know, 12. No, I'm just kidding. I'm exaggerating, but it's been a long time. And Pat Freiermuth was front and center in that game on Sunday. He had 120 receiving yards and a 44% target share. That's massive. Now, do I continue that rate to hold? No, but he's still going to have a pretty good target share. Again, Kenny Pickett, not a great quarterback, going to target his tight ends, going to use that safety valve. But Kenny Pickett also looked better on Sunday. He actually threw for 275 yards, which was a season high passing total for him. So I don't know if you're in a really deep league, maybe you could even play Kenny Pickett this week because they're facing Arizona, which is a good matchup. So I don't know. It's desperate time, guys, but there are also, Isaiah likely could be out there. He looked good. He did get, he's not going to be Mark Andrews, but he's a good substitute. And Juwan Johnson, because who else is left in New Orleans? Chig. There's quite a few options at tight end. It's funny, but the narrative has changed for tight end from when we started this series.
Yeah, I like Juwan Johnson, especially like you said, the Saints. Michael Thomas is on injured reserve. Chris Olave suffered a concussion. Rashid Shaheed injured his thigh. I mean, they're going to be calling Joe Horn at one point here because they are down so many receivers. And then Tucker Kraft, too, is another guy you could pick up. Had a touchdown last week. Don't love the matchup this week, but certainly someone you could pick up long-term. Jen Piacenti, you are the best. And remember, folks, for Jen's entire list of waiver wire ads, and you need them this week because it's another Buymageddon. Make sure you go to si.com/fantasy, not only for that, but for our player rankings, start 'em and sit 'em, and so much more. The fantasy playoffs are close. We're going to get you there.